真空
Hello, people. Welcome back to One Hit Combo. System Psycho here with Josh, of course, my comic book buddy. We're making this video because today is actually the release day of DC Comics' new Rebirth. So we have both issues, both covers. It's actually the same issue with different covers. And you know, it's it's a lot of stuff that's happened in this comic book, and so I know we just want to give our thoughts, what we thought about it, and Josh will give like an explanation of exactly what's going on, what it's about, and you know, if you guys are like questioning, you know, what exactly is happening, or if you don't understand what's going on, we'll clear that up for you. So I guess starting off, like, what exactly is the DC Universe Rebirth?
Alright, so basically they are not trying to reboot anything. It's really what they're trying to say is that it's a rebirth. So they're taking existing continuity and they're just kind of spinning it to condense the universe down into something that's more manageable. And Jeff Johns himself in an interview said that, you know, what they ended up doing was that they kind of re-looked at what was going on, because the New 52 had a lot of criticism because of the tone of it. A lot of people were upset because they said it was dark, that they took a lot of the characteristics that people fell in love with the characters out of the characters, and it just became a straight superhero universe where it was just epic battles and fights all the time.
It's like Dragon Ball.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the characters just weren't relatable.
Okay.
And so they put up a whiteboard and they wrote out all the characters that they wanted to keep in continuity, and they wrote out what they loved about the characters and what characteristics that they felt portray these characters the best. And the idea now is that, yeah, there's still going to be several writers writing several of the books, but now there's kind of guidelines of how these characters are going to be written. And I know that a lot of people were kind of up in arms when they heard about this, because DC has been notorious over really the last couple decades as far as being of rebooting their universe over and over and over again. And 2011 was when we got the New 52, and I mean, really, we're 2016, and people, when they heard the idea of a reboot, it kind of scared them.
Okay, I know there's a lot of stuff that they're pretty much rechanging back to what I guess fans love. We don't have to talk about every single one of them, but to you, which ones are like the big ones that you feel are like the ones that the fans would appreciate the most?
So the throwback ones to the New 52 universe that they're bringing back in that are huge. Should I start off with the biggest one?
Sure. So I guess we didn't mention this, but there's going to be spoilers.
There's going to be a lot of spoilers.
So so go ahead.
So they're bringing back the original Wally West. In fact, the issue is written from the perspective of the original Wally West. And for those of you that grew up with comic books in the late 80s and through the 90s, the Flash was Wally West. The original Kid Flash, for people that followed it from further back, was Wally West. That continuity had changed when Jeff Johns did Flashpoint, and Wally West apparently had died, and that was kind of what we had gone with, and that pissed a lot of like hardcore Flash fans off, you know. He went MIA, you know, no one kind of knew what happened, and in this one, we find out that Wally West the whole time has been trapped in the Speed Force, and he's coming back out and trying to reconnect with the heroes that we know, like Batman, Barry Allen, pretty much anybody that will recognize him. Really what he's trying to do is get recognized so he can get pulled out of the Speed Force and kind of help to save the continuity that is in existence right now. There's other two nice throwbacks here, is that Ryan Choi, who was the Atom before Ray Palmer, has reappeared in this issue, and Ray Palmer, we found out, is found in what he's calling the microverse, and he leaves a Atom belt for Ryan Choi to use to come and find him. And I think that's really cool to reintroduce back the Atom that kind of people were left with, like, well, what happened to Ryan Choi? Why are we getting a new Atom? And he was a beloved character. Another character that they're reintroducing, and I really like the way that they're doing it, is that Ted Kord, who was the Blue Beetle before the current Blue Beetle, who's Jamie Reyes. He's actually back, and he's helping Jamie Reyes try to figure out the powers of the Scarab, because for those of you that know, or even for those of you that don't know, in the Blue Beetle comic book, the Scarab is what gives the Blue Beetle the suit and gives him his powers. Ted Kord is probably the most popular of all the Blue Beetles. Jamie Reyes has probably been, to me, one of the most well written, and he's supposed to be the character that can use that's been able to show the most power in using the Scarab. So they're now together, and kind of like how Marvel's done it in the cinematic universe with making Hank Pym and Scott Lang kind of a teacher, a mentor type thing, you know. This is what it looks like they're going to do with the Blue Beetle run. And what you find out is that Dr. Fate comes in, and Dr. Fate tells Ted Kord the whole time he's been thinking that it's extraterrestrial technology, when it's actually the Scarab is magic. Okay. And so I think that those are three of the throwbacks that are coming into the current continuity. That's kind of a fan appreciation type thing. Okay. What I do want to talk about here are some of the current things that are that are going on in the current continuity that we're kind of running with. So the Dark Side War, which has been the Justice League run since I believe from issue 52 all the way to current. The last issue of it came out today. I have not read it yet, but basically the idea behind it is that Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor collided. Both of them died. In that run, though, Batman took over the Mobius chair, and so he became the God of Knowledge. And one of the first questions he asked the chair was, "What is the Joker's name?" Okay. And he said, "It can't be." And so you thought that the revelation is that the Joker was somebody that he knew or something like that. Well, in the Rebirth, we find out that there are potentially 3 Jokers.
3 different guys.
Right. Okay. So in the Batman Rebirth, so basically the new Batman issue starting from number 1, we're going to presume from this issue here that Batman is going to try to figure out, are there really 3 Jokers, and if they are, how they're connected, and trying to figure that out. And I think that's a really cool storyline. I mean, because if you're a fan of the Joker, if you're a fan of Batman, this is pretty interesting. And the ones that they show is that they show the old school Joker, like from way back in the day. They show the Killing Joke Joker, and then they showed the Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo run where he had the face ripped off and then came back with the. So they're saying those are all 3 different. That they're all 3. Well, we're presuming that from this issue. Another thing from the Dark Side War that they show very briefly, it's one panel, but they're showing Grail, who is the daughter of Darkseid, holding a baby, and the baby is Darkseid, but she says that his name is Jason, and in the monologue on that page, Wally West is saying that Diana had a brother. So we find out that there actually is a male, there's a male Amazonian, and so we're going to find out in the Wonder Woman series, it presumes that it's going to be Grail and Wonder Woman trying to find this new character. Okay.
And so what happened with Superman? Because I know there's something with Superman in this as well.
Yeah, so in the New 52 continuity for Superman is presumed missing, dead. We're not really quite sure what the situation is right now, but there's also a continuation of there's a new book that's come out in the last several months, maybe over the course of a year, which is Superman, Lois, and Clark. And what we found out in that one is that the Kal-El in that universe is married to Lois Lane. He's kind of been living a normal life. That's actually the Kal-El that we grew up with, like when it was the return of the Superman and all of that storyline, the one that Doomsday killed, and he came back to life. We find out that he was merged into the continuity of when the Flashpoint event happened. He was brought back, so him and the Superman that we've been watching in the New 52 are actually two separate bodies, 2 Supermen that are existing in the same continuity. And in this book, it's showing that this Kal-El is actually going to come out of the hiding of raising a family and all, and probably don the cape again to find out what happened with the other Superman.
So now that we've kind of explained exactly what's going on and certain things. What are your thoughts on the comic or the story? Like, do you feel this is a good way to rebirth DC?
You know what? It's funny because this is a great. What's great about this story is that this is a comic book, and this is really a letter to the fans, letting them know we heard you. We heard the outcry from fans of the DC universe that were really upset by the dark themes that they kind of encompassed the New 52. The fact that non-DC fans that said that they really couldn't connect with the characters because they were just too omnipotent of characters, that there was no real relation to them. They didn't really do anything that had human characteristics, which people that were old school DC fans kind of knew those characters, where they were like, where the Marvel DC debate never really made sense when it came to the characters, because when we grew up as kids, they were relatable characters, you know? So it's nice to see that they're actually bringing the pre-New 52, the relatability back to it. I think the story's great. I really do. I think that it's a brilliant way to bring Wally West back, because it was the same way that they brought Barry Allen back, so it makes sense that he was trapped in the Speed Force and he's working his way out. I think it's amazing how Jeff Johns was able to create and kind of launch a whole new run of comics. I think we just looked it up to see how many, potentially you're going to get to follow the entire DC universe in 26 different running comics, which is pretty manageable when you really think about it, the way that they're going to release them. And I think it's amazing that it's a double issue, but he was able to do a launch just in one book. Yeah. So I think, and the story flows well. The story, the tone is great. The flow of the writing is great. The art is amazing. I mean, like, the fact that, 4 different artists or 5 different artists did different chapters of this, they knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
And for the size of the comic, $2.99 is a pretty good price.
$2.99, yeah. So basically, it was funny because System doesn't buy DC Comics.
I don't buy DC.
And I called him today and told him, I said, this comic is amazing. Like, you got to read it. The story is very well told. Like it's a great point to read, because the jump on is right around the corner. I mean, June is when they're going to start releasing the one-shots, and then after that, the series are going to come out. And I mean, it's $2.99. I mean, if you go out there and buy the comic and you don't like it, and not only that, Jeff Johns is saying that if you don't like this comic book, that there's a money back guarantee with it, which is pretty funny in itself, because, but I doubt that anybody out there is really going to truthfully be able to say that they dislike this comic.
Because, I mean, the majority of stuff they fix is what the fans want.
Right,
you know what I mean? So
exactly.
What the fuck you talking about, dude? You know what I mean? Yep. So in the end, I know it's that last twist.
There's a twist, and talking about what the fans wanted. This is something that's controversial, where I've heard a lot of outcry from people that don't like what's been brought in, but the Watchmen are being brought over to the regular DC universe. And I know Watchmen fanboys, it hurts their soul that, you know, they don't like that idea. But what I will say about that is that the way that they leave it off is that you see the comedian's badge with the blood on it. And it says you're being watched. And then the epilogue at the end of this book, it shows Mars. And for everybody that knows about Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan was the one that ended up in Mars. So what we're finding out is, in that final frame, you see the Dr. Manhattan watch, and you have the verse from the Watchmen comic itself. And so what we're finding out is that Dr. Manhattan was actually the one who was behind creating the New 52 universe, and we don't know why. We don't know what his intention was. We don't know. We do know in the Watchmen series he did want to create universes. So you know, so there's already the reason behind that. Well, there's already the plan there. We just don't know the reason behind the plan.
Okay. And I know there was this big thing about, what's her character's name, Pandora?
Yep.
Where you feel that, from what you've explained to me, everybody thought that she was the creator of the 52 universe, but it turns out that it really wasn't. Correct.
Yeah. Pandora gets killed off in this. It's really just one page and a couple panels. They wipe her out of existence, and the idea is that Pandora was kind of the one that was behind the New 52 universe. Pandora was killed off in the fashion of Dr. Manhattan. And I think that, you know, for me personally, I think it's great because the biggest argument about New 52 was how dark it is. And Watchmen is looked at as one of the darkest graphic novels of all time. So I think it fits in really well. Hopefully they do justice to the Dr. Manhattan character. I mean, he's an overpowered character, so he's a great villain for the whole DC universe. I just hope that they don't do like before Watchmen shit, you know, because before Watchmen was pretty bad. I mean, I personally did not like it. I thought that it wasn't the way to go about it, but I'm actually interested to see what they do with Dr. Manhattan.
I think it would be. I mean, it is kind of interesting to see what they will do and who they will bring within the universe. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
So we'll see. I mean, some people, you know, some people don't like it. Some people think it's great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright guys, so that was it. That was pretty much the rundown on the whole DC Rebirth. Again, if you guys have any comments or questions, let us know down below. Did you guys read this? Did you guys like it? Did you guys like the stuff that's being reintroduced? Do you not fuck with it? Do you fuck with the whole Watchmen thing? Let us know down below. Again, like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, everything, Instagram. Like I always say, we'll leave the links down below. So, System Psycho, Josh signing off. Peace out.